Hey, Dad! Cindy here, Chris here. We're on our way to your birthday party. We can't wait. We'll see you in a minute.
The best way to suppose what may come, said an obscure writer, is to remember what is past. And on this date, 70 years ago, when James Henry Howell was born, family and friends gathered today to celebrate both his memorable past and adventurous future.
Henry, I would like to wish you a very happy 70th birthday. And it does seem like just yesterday that we were planning number 60. And unfortunately, you know about everything, so nothing will be a surprise. But nevertheless, I hope it's just a wonderful time for you, and we're working very hard on that to make it so.
What makes for a wonderful time for Henry is the camaraderie of old friends and college chums Donald Norman and Malcolm Quick. You see, their alliance began in the 1950s at Berry College, located in northwest Georgia. And when this trio gets together, as they often do, tales of yesteryear, especially at Berry, where every student had to have a job, incidentally, come easily.
That was one of the requirements. Everybody worked and they applied it towards your tuition. Of course, then you could stay in the summer months and work and earn your tuition for the next year. I used to go down the hall. I didn't have a lot of clothes to wear, and one of my buddies always have something that fit me. We just go down and swap clothes and shoes, whatever one had, the other had.
Like most of his peers, Henry's longing for an education was instilled by his hard-working mother.
Like I say, she came off the farm, and she wanted me to get an education. I came out of Bartow County up there, and I was a family of 10. I was the last one.
Henry's father, Charlie Howell, was an extraordinary person too. A farmer, horse trader, a man among men, but regrettably, Henry never got to know his dad. My daddy was a farmer and a horse trader. He and my uncle would buy mules and sell them to farmers. He had a pretty good life, but then he got tuberculosis, and he died with that when I was 4 months old, and it left my mother in a real strain. So she had a struggle raising us. Today, Henry traces his love of hunting, especially with old friends and smart dogs, and fishing, most especially when they're biting, to his maternal grandfather. That would be Mr. Kilgore. Gramps is what I all call him, Cliff. And he was a big man, and we always admired him. He lived to be about 83. I remember him well because he spent a lot of time with me, and we went fishing. I believe that you need to intermingle with your grandkids or your kids at a very early age. They don't forget. I mean, I'll never forget my grandfather. He would carry me down on the river bank. We'd go fishing. He loved fishing. I guess that's where I get it. My daddy didn't care a thing about fishing, so I got that from my grandpa Kilgore. And he would sit on the bucket, but we'd take the bucket, and if the muscadines were in, they'd just be hanging from the trees, you know, on the riverbank. Well, he would put me up on his shoulders, and he would hold a bucket, and I'd reach up and pick the muscadine.
The night you went to the movie,
oh yeah,
car and Elsie was driving.
Well, one of them bought the Chevrolet. But I tell you, it was the one with the back seats and had a spare tire on the back of it. And so she would put us in that old 36 Chevy, and here we'd go to the movie house in Cartersville. Who was it
went with you in the back seat?
Me and Charles. My other brother rode the back seat. Grandpa he was a big old man, and she'd have to let the seat back. He'd drive in the front because there wasn't enough room for him in the back. So we coming back from the movie one night. Elsie, my sister, was driving. She couldn't drive worth a doodly. I mean, she just could not drive. So we were riding, and Grandpa, he'd say, "Look out, watch this, and he didn't drive much himself. He done got so old.
He's telling her how.
He's telling her how.
Kind of like
well,
you do now.
she topped this hill and met a car, and the lights blinded her. I guess that's what happened. She ran off the road. Grandpa's head hit the seat. Said, "Look out, puss." Said, "You gonna kill us, ain't you?"
And like a lot of rural country boys of his generation, he knew all about hard work.
I was a water boy. We picked cotton. We worked on the farm. My job was to carry water to the field for my mother, whoever was picking cotton. I would keep the water to them. And then as I got older, I got a cotton sack. You know, I had to pick cotton. And whole cotton, Malcolm, same way. Right. We used to have to pick cotton by hand. And we'd
Make 15 cents.
Yeah.
That's
If you
that,
made-
that was good than cotton.
Yeah. How much you ever picked?
I never picked 100 pounds in one
I
day.
picked 167 pounds.
That was all.
But picking cotton wasn't a big priority with Henry and his buddies once they learned some time-honored traditions at Berry.
It was referred to as
Going calling.
collie, and this was basically what it entailed is you walk that mile from the dormitory to the girls' home. At that point, you would meet your date in the arches in their home.
Yeah.
And then you would walk around Victory Lake until you found a place where you could sneak off into the woods and sit.
Get behind the bush.
And then after a short period of time, you resumed that trail and you came back to Mary Hall and dropped your girl off. And then you walked a mile back to your dormitory, and you got there. Somebody said, "Well, where have you been?" "I've been calling."
But we'd like to go out there once in a while, something different. So we'd go to town. I had the VFW and the American Legion. This was American Legion was the best place. They had square dances there. Of course, we have those at Berry, but you know, it's the kind of place you'd go. They'd give you a gun at the door, or not. But anyway.
Henry recalls that in those days, he and his pals got around town in an old car he called Hitler.
That was the name of the car, yeah.
It's an old 50 Buick.
Was it 50?
Yeah.
Heavy, but old Hitler was a good car. Everybody borrowed it. Henry was about the only one that had a car.
Yeah.
You didn't
I'd
have a
worked
car,
there
did
in
you?
summer and got it for, bought that car for $100 without a quarter pound. My nephew had it, he wrecked it. And it didn't even have a fender on the back.
The days of our youth were the days of our glory, said the poet. Henry played sports at Berry, had his share of fun, wrestled with the books, but left without graduating.
We were in a bad recession when we got out of school. You know, in 1958, you couldn't get a job anywhere. Eisenhower was the president, I remember that. And you couldn't get a job.
Henry, I can't believe you remember all these things. You made such bad grades in this.
And I didn't do too well in history either. But I can remember those days because I was on the street, and that's when I decided to go on in service. I mean, that's part of growing up is your obligation to your country and being able to serve your country. Nobody fought it. I mean, they didn't go to court trying to get out of it like some now would.
After his stint in the Air Force, Henry remained in the reserves, married college sweetheart Janice Dean, went to work with the Atlanta Gas Light Company, and started a family. He regrets not getting that degree.
No, I didn't go back to there. I thought about it. At that time, I'd already married Jen, and I had already been accepted back at Berry. But my company, they couldn't transfer me back, and of course, I had to work. You know, I had an obligation then.
All of his life, Henry Howell has endeavored to meet his obligations, do the right thing. When asked what advice he has given to his grandchildren and children for a meaningful life, his answer has never varied.
Don't do like Grandpa.
Don't do like Grandpa did. Make something of yourself. No, really, I've had a good life. But I would tell them, first of all, number one, you've got to get an education. You won't get anywhere in this world without an education. And number two, I would tell them to respect their parents and to do their own thing. Is just be up front with people and try to treat people like you want to be treated. Use the golden rule.
As you've noticed, laughter is a tonic for Henry, Donald, and Malcolm. It is also a promise of tomorrow and new memories waiting in the wing.
But it's been I think overall we've had good lives. You know, I've had some help, probably all have those. But I'm still kicking. I plan to kick. I don't sit down. I don't like to sit down. I just make myself go. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I just don't give in to it. Because if I do, I'd be in a wheelchair probably.